Hello, Soberinos, and welcome to this week's Friday Fix, which is all about how, one of the ways at least, that we sustain our motivation and we sustain our motivation for staying sober when we're in the early days of stopping drinking, when we're either thinking about stopping drinking or we've recently stopped drinking, or even if we're a few months down the line and we want to just really boost our motivation. And today I'm going to be talking you about a technique that involves kind of imagining forwards into the future and the importance of when we imagine forwards into the future, that we're imagining our future sober success. And the reason that it's important to do this is because a lot of the time, our unconscious minds have a natural tendency to imagine the worst. So, as an example, when I first started thinking about stopping drinking for the final time, I imagined the worst. When I imagined living my life sober, I was imagining never having fun again. I was imagining not being able to socialize sober. I was imagining being really boring. I was imagining that there was never going to be any joy ever again in my whole life. I was imagining I was going to be bored stupid. I was imagining I wasn't going to be able to relax. I wasn't going to be able to connect and talk to my partner and have fun and connect with him intimately. Um, Everything that I thought alcohol was giving me, I was imagining that my life would be empty of all of those things. And I was also kind of imagining that my life sober was going to be really hard work. Now, it just so happens, for a good reason actually, but it so happens that for many people who have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, they also have an unhealthy relationship with themselves. And when people have an unhealthy relationship with themselves, they tend to have um, a an unhelpful way about thinking about the future and thinking about themselves, and unhelpful beliefs about themselves. So, because I had an unhealthy relationship with myself, I didn't like myself very much. I didn't love myself very much. I didn't look after myself very well. I didn't believe I was worthy or valid or valuable. Um, and if you think about it, if you're having these kind of negative beliefs about yourself, these unhelpful or limiting beliefs about yourself, it's natural that at an unconscious level, your mind is going to naturally revert to the worst case scenario. And so when we're thinking about our future sober lives, we can often be painting a pretty dark, miserable, anxiety inducing picture. We can be painting a picture that's actually not very compelling, not very inviting, and in fact quite demotivating and quite off putting. So, the important thing that we need to do is to actually counteract some of that unconscious negative or unhelpful thinking by consciously, purposefully, or mindfully actually envisaging what it's going to be like when we're living our lives successfully sober, and that we're kind of paying attention to doing it in a really positive, helpful, motivating and compelling way. I'm going to give you I'm going to give you an example of the first party I went to, and just to explain why it's so important to do this, to create this compelling future vision of yourself successfully sober, with all of the benefits, all of the gains, all of the positive things about that. Now, when I went to my first party sober, I I was dreading it, I was anxious about it, I was fearful about it. and it ended up going really rather well. And it ended up going really rather well because I did this imagining of what it was going to be like if I was doing it successfully, happily, healthily, and confidently sober. And so I had imagined myself getting really curious about the event. I'd imagined myself feeling relaxed, feeling confident, feeling calm. I'd imagined myself realistically sitting back a bit and not being the life and soul of the party, but feeling comfortable doing that. I'd imagined myself having conversations with other people. I'd imagined myself drinking a tonic water and lime. I'd imagined all of the finer details of going through this event successfully and happily sober. Now, if I hadn't have done that, the event would have been a really different picture. The event would have been much more tense for me. It would have been much more anxiety inducing. It would have been much more demotivating. So it was really, really important to me to kind of mentally rehearse, imagine myself being successfully sober at this event. And this is what I'm suggesting for you, is that not only when you have an event coming up, um, but just kind of forward pacing into the future, into like a year down the line, or 6 months down the line, or 3 years down the line, or choosing some kind of significant date for you in the future, and just creating um, a future successfully, happily, healthily sober you at that point in the future, and allowing yourself to imagine all of the detail about that. Because the more detail you imagine, what you can see, what you can hear, what you can taste, what you can smell, what you can feel when you are that version of yourself in the future, when you can bring all of that to life, you actually make it happen. You make it a real thing that you are bringing to life. So it's really important to imagine the future successful you um, in all of its glory. Really bring that reality to life. Now, there are some specific ways you can do that. And in the Go Get Sober guidance program, in module 1 specifically, I talk you through how to do these, to how to work your way through some of these techniques that allow you to really put yourself forward into the future and to imagine what it's like when you are living your life successfully sober and achieving all of the things that you're going to be able to achieve because you're living your life alcohol free, and being the best version of yourself, being the person you want to be, free from the hindrance that alcohol has become. So if you want more detail and more information on how to successfully imagine yourself into the future, being this wonderful, happily alcohol-free version of yourself, then go to module 1 of the Go Get Sober guidance program. It's free to sign up at the moment, so now is a really good time to do it if you haven't already done it. I will look forward to seeing you there if you're not there already. And tomorrow I will catch up with you in our Saturday share, where we will talk a little bit about what we're getting up to at the weekend and how our weekends are infinitely better sober. But in the meantime, let's go get sober together. Bye for now.